Weak minds talk too much. In a world that prizes constant commentary and instantaneous sharing, silence is seen as awkward or suspicious. People fill every pause with words, thinking that speaking more will make them appear more knowledgeable or important. But the truth is, most of our speech is noise. We talk to relieve anxiety, to avoid uncomfortable thoughts, to seek validation. We narrate our lives on social media and announce our every opinion. And yet, we feel more misunderstood and more disconnected than ever. The disease isn't silence, it's our fear of it. Modern pain manifests as conflict and oversharing. Arguments erupt because we respond without thinking. Relationships fracture because we speak defensively instead of listening. We overshare online, revealing intimate details to strangers in exchange for momentary sympathy. We respond to every message instantly, filling our days with chatter, leaving no time for reflection. When we finally sit in quiet, our minds race or we reach it for a screen. We have lost the ability to be still, and with it, we have lost the wisdom that stillness reveals. Psychologists and negotiators have found that silence is not empty. It's potent. Studies show that when people pause for at least 3 seconds during a difficult conversation, they make better decisions and create more value. Silence allows your brain to switch from reactive mode to deliberate mode. It gives you space to consider the other person's perspective, to choose your words carefully. In relationships, high-quality listening, meaning paying full attention without interrupting, reduces loneliness and makes people feel affirmed. Silence signals respect and invites depth. Talking, by contrast, often becomes a way to dominate or escape. The Havamal, the Old Norse book of wisdom, praises restraint. It says that a man should not boast of his keenness of mind, but keep it within his chest. It warns the foolish man who knows little to better keep quiet, so no one discovers his ignorance. It describes how the wise guest at a feast listens with his ears and watches with his eyes. To the Norse, silence was a mark of strength, not weakness. The ability to hold one's tongue indicated confidence and self-mastery. Words were tools to be used sparingly, like arrows. You didn't shoot them without aim. Picture a Viking warrior sitting at the longhouse table. He listens to his elders, argue strategy, absorbing every detail. When asked for his opinion, he speaks plainly and briefly. His words carry weight because he doesn't waste them on gossip. Around the fire, he listens to stories and songs. In battle, he communicates with gestures and looks. He is attuned to the sounds around him, the creak of oars, the shuffle of boots, the breath of the man next to him. His silence isn't passive, it is active awareness. It's the reason he survives. There is immense power in listening. When you truly listen, you hear not only words, but emotions, hesitations, and subtext. You notice what is not being said. You understand people better, and they feel understood. Negotiation researchers found that extended silence in discussions often leads to breakthroughs because it encourages both sides to think more creatively. In day-to-day life, Simply pausing before you reply can prevent countless misunderstandings. Instead of reacting defensively, you ask clarifying questions. Instead of filling the air, you leave space for others to reveal themselves. You gain influence, not by dominating the conversation, but by guiding it with restraint. The protocol is simple. Pause before speaking. Before you open your mouth, take a breath and ask yourself 3 questions. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If the answer to any of these is no, stay silent. You don't have to answer immediately. Allow silence to do some of the work. In group settings, resist the urge to jump in with an opinion. Instead, listen until others have finished. Use your eyes to show that you're present. Nod. When you do speak, be concise. Speak to add value, not to fill time. If you feel a rush of emotion, pause longer. Let the wave pass before you respond. Make silence a daily practice. Set aside a period of time each day when you don't speak. It could be during your morning coffee, a walk without headphones, a meal eaten alone. Let yourself observe the world without narrating it. Notice how thoughts rise and fall when you don't attach words to them. Write in a journal instead of venting aloud. This is not about punishing yourself. It is about training your mind to be comfortable with stillness. Over time, you'll find that you feel less compelled to speak and that your words become more intentional when you do. Reduce unnecessary speech in your digital life as well. Before you post on social media, pause. Ask yourself if what you're about to share adds meaning or is just a plea for attention. Consider keeping some experiences private. Private doesn't mean secret, it means treasured. When you remove the impulse to broadcast everything, you reclaim a part of yourself. You also stop fueling the noise that overwhelms others. A silent fute invites reflection. You become an example of presence rather than performance. Use silence as an observation tool in meetings or social settings. Be the one who watches and listens. You'll notice dynamics that others miss. Who speaks and who stays quiet? What topics excite people? Where is there tension? Your awareness becomes sharper because you're not distracted by the sound of your own voice. You'll also see opportunities to guide the conversation when needed. When you finally speak, people listen because they know you're not talking to hear yourself. Your silence builds credibility. Silence is also the gateway to hearing yourself. Underneath the layers of chatter, there is a voice that rarely gets time to speak. It whispers your true desires, your fears, your values. When you're constantly talking or listening to noise, you can't hear it. Practicing silence allows that inner voice to emerge. It may tell you that you're on the wrong path, or that you've been ignoring something important. It may guide you toward courage. The Vikings believed in listening to omens and their own instincts. They couldn't do that if they were always talking. Your challenge is to reduce unnecessary speech. For 1 week, practice the pause. Before every response, breathe. Speak less often and more deliberately. Spend at least 15 minutes a day in complete silence, without speaking or consuming media. Observe how your relationships change when you listen more. Notice the discomfort that arises when you don't fill the air. Note the clarity that follows. At the end of the week, ask yourself, do you feel stronger or weaker? Did you miss anything by speaking less? Or did you gain something unexpected? Respect, insight, peace? Expect resistance from within and from others. People might mistake your silence for disinterest or judgment. They may prod you to fill the space. Politely decline. You are training. Explain if necessary, but don't justify. Internally, you may feel anxious when there's a pause in conversation. Recognize that this anxiety is the result of conditioning. You've been taught to fear silence. The only way to unlearn this fear is to practice being silent. Over time, the anxiety fades and is replaced by a quiet confidence. One of the most counterintuitive truths is that saying less often increases your influence. When you speak, after listening carefully, your words cut through the noise. People remember what you say because it's rare and thoughtful. Your advice carries weight. This is why elders, in many cultures, speak little but command respect. They don't waste energy proving themselves. They let their presence and their chosen words do the talking. The Viking power of silence taps into this dynamic. It turns you from a chatterer into a person whose words are sought out. Social media algorithms reward constant engagement, but your soul does not. Every comment, every reply, every rant chips away at your attention. You become reactive, angry, fragmented. If you want to be strong, you need coherence. You need long stretches of uninterrupted thought. You need the discipline to not respond to every provocation. Practicing silence online means scrolling without commenting, reading without reacting, logging off when you have nothing meaningful to add. It means using your platforms deliberately instead of compulsively. Silence is also a weapon against manipulation. When you speak less, you reveal less. People who would take advantage of you get less information to work with. You become unpredictable. In negotiations, silence can make the other side reveal more. In personal interactions, it prevents you from offering excuses or over-explaining. The Vikings understood that words could be used against you. Loose talk could lead to betrayal. They were careful with what they revealed. You too can protect your plans and your boundaries by saying less. You might worry that being quiet means being passive. That's a misconception. Silence doesn't mean you don't take action. It means you act from a place of thoughtfulness rather than impulse. It means your actions are aligned with your values because you've taken the time to listen to yourself. The silent warrior doesn't hesitate to swing his sword when it's time. He simply doesn't swing it unnecessarily. Likewise, you will still speak up when it matters, to defend, to advise, to create. You will just no longer be controlled by the need to fill silence. Make your home a place of quiet. Turn off background noise. Eat some meals without television or music. Let your family get used to the sound of forks scraping plates, to the rustle of pages. Create pockets of stillness. At first, it may feel unsettling. Then, it will feel like a sanctuary. Your nervous system will downshift. Your senses will sharpen. Your conversations will become more meaningful because they won't be diluted by constant noise. Silence becomes a foundation upon which life unfolds, rather than an absence. You fear. There is a spiritual dimension to silence. Many traditions use silence to connect with the divine. In silence, you can feel part of something larger than yourself. You can sense the subtle rhythms of nature. You can experience awe without trying to capture it in words. The Vikings stood in forests under the northern lights, listening to the wind. They felt the presence of gods and ancestors. You don't need to be religious to benefit from this. You simply need to be still long enough to perceive what is always there. As you practice the power of silence, be prepared for moments of discomfort. When you realize you were talking to avoid something instead of fleeing, stay with it. Maybe you'll see how often you complain. Maybe you'll notice how often you gossip. This self-awareness is the first step toward change. The point of the challenge is not to make you stoic and aloof. It is to help you become intentional. Once you see your patterns, you can decide which ones serve you and which ones weaken you. During your week of silence, you may find that people trust you more. When you listen without interrupting, others feel seen. When you refrain from offering unsolicited advice, people feel respected. Over time, they will come to you when they need counsel. Your silence creates a safe space. That's one reason. Silence is a source of power. It allows others to drop their masks. They reveal things they wouldn't have if you had been talking. Your relationships deepen because you are present, not performing. Silence also gives a time to think before acting. In the space between stimulus and response lies your freedom to choose. Talking prematurely often commits you to a course of action you haven't considered. Silent reflection allows you to weigh consequences and align your actions with your goals. That kind of intentionality is rare in an impulsive world. It leads to better choices, fewer regrets, and a reputation for wisdom. People will start saying that you have good judgment. What they really mean is that you use silence to think. Use this challenge to test the myth that constant communication is necessary. Experiment with replying to messages less frequently. See how many urgent problems resolve themselves without your immediate input. You'll be surprised. Most things don't require your instant opinion. By stepping back, you invite others to step up. You also signal that your time is valuable, which increases respect. The Viking, who only speaks when necessary, doesn't become irrelevant. He becomes a leader. At the end of your challenge, reflect on what changed. Did your inner dialogue become kinder? Did you find yourself less entangled in drama? Did you notice more details? Hear more? Feel more? The power of silence is subtle but profound. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about sharpening your edge. Words are tools and weapons. Use them deliberately. Let silence do the heavy lifting most of the time. When you do speak, people will listen. That is the Viking way. Declare your intention. below. Tell us you are committing to 7 days of measured speech and daily silence. Share what you hope to gain. At the end of the week, come back and share what you learned. Your journey will inspire others to reclaim the quiet spaces in their lives. Weak minds talk too much because they fear what silence will reveal. Strong minds embrace silence because they know it is where power is born. Speak less, become stronger. One underestimated benefit of silence is that it gives you time to build boundaries. When you stop automatically sharing every detail of your life, you create a buffer between your inner world and the outside. That buffer is where you decide what belongs to you and what you are willing to reveal. Without it, you become porous. Everyone knows your weaknesses and can poke at them. With it, you are grounded. Silence grants you sovereignty. Silence trains you to be strategic. In battle, the warrior who blurts out his plan alerts the enemy. In everyday life, speaking before thinking can expose your intentions. When you remain quiet, you gather information. You watch patterns. You wait for the right moment. Then you act decisively. This doesn't mean you become manipulative. It means you respect the power of timing. The Vikings planned raids during long winters of silence. They understood that patience was a weapon. As you continue to practice, you'll realize that silence doesn't just happen outside you, it happens inside you. Your inner monologue slows. You stop rehearsing imaginary arguments. You start noticing the quality of your thoughts. With practice, you can choose which thoughts to entertain and which to release. This mental silence is the foundation of resilience. When your mind is not consumed with chatter, you can face chaos without becoming chaotic. There is joy in silence, and too, it's the joy of hearing birds in the morning, of feeling the sun on your face without needing to remark on it. It's the joy of sharing a comfortable silence with someone you love. It's the joy of being fully present in your own life. At the end of your 7-day challenge, you may find that you crave these quiet moments more than you crave conversation. Let that craving guide your future choices.